Yesterday we learned how to add and subtract functions. Today we're going to multiply and divide them. So just again to show you the notation that it's going to ask you to do that in. This says the function of x times the function of g. That little dot right there means multiply. The x kind of just symbolizes that the x is going to still be in the equation, right? And then it can also look like this, where you can have f of x times f of g. So either of these mean the exact same thing. Then the same thing on dividing functions. It can be f divided by g of x, or f of x divided by g of x. But it still just means the same thing. Take the f function, put it on top of the fraction. Take the g function and put it on the bottom of the fraction, okay? So what I've done here is I've given you an f, a g, and an h function here. And we're just going to do what it asks us to do. So when you look at this first one right here, it says -4 times f of x. So what do you think I'm going to do with that? Distribute the -4 through the f function, right? So I would have -4 times, what's my f of x function? 2x. Yeah, 2x plus 7. So I really am going to times 2x plus 7 times the -4. What do I get when I do that? -4 times 2x is, yep, -8x, good. And -4 times 7? Perfect.
I'm looking for a pencil.
So that's my solution to -4 times f of x. That wasn't bad, was it? All right, this next one then, number 2, says to do f of x times g of x. So I'm going to grab the f of x function, which is 2x plus 7, and I'm going to times it by the g of x function, which is 3x squared plus 2x minus 8. And I get to start a little multiplying party here. Anybody know what we have to do with this? Yeah, and it's like the FOIL method on steroids, because we got a lot of distributing to do here. So we do 2x times 3x squared, which is how much? 6x, 1x here, 2 here, so 6x cubed, right? When we multiply, we add powers. Then 2x times 2x. 4x squared, good. And then 2x times the -8. Perfect. We're not done though, because we still have to take that 7 through to everything, right? So 7 times 3x squared. And do you guys remember how I said I like to stack my like terms? So I'm going to stack them as I go so that they're easier to add, okay? So then I have 7 times 2x. Yep, 14x, nice. And then I have 7 times -8. Which is a -56. I'm going to add those straight down now. That's why I stacked them like I did, so that I can combine like terms. The 6x cubed doesn't have anything to add with, so I'm still 6x cubed. But how many x squareds do I have? 21 plus 4? 25. And then on my x's, I have a -16 plus 14, which is a -2. And then that -56 gets to stand by itself. So when it asks me to multiply two functions, I just write them next to each other, and I just distribute like crazy. I like to call that the FOIL method on steroids, because we just keep multiplying until we've multiplied everything by everything. Okay, this is my solution. All right, the last one in this row says to do f of x divided by h of x. My f of x function is 2x plus 7. And what's my h of x function? 7. I'm actually done right there. Nothing on the top can reduce with anything on the bottom. Even though it looks like the 7s can, they don't get to cancel because this 7 is attached by addition to the 2. So it can't be separated from it. So I'm done just by writing the function on top of the other function. All right, so different notation on number 4, but asking the same thing. This says take the h of x function and divide it by the g of x function. So what's my h of x? 7. And what's my g of x? A whole bunch of junk, right? We're going to write all of that junk on the bottom of our fraction. And I'm really just going to leave it like that. The nice thing about division is mostly you can't do anything with it after you write the functions on top of each other. Really, until you get into Math 3 class, then we're going to show you how some of them work really nice to cancel and stuff like that. All right, this one says, this one's a little bit harder. 2 times f of x times negative 5 times h of x. So let's kind of do these separately, and then we'll multiply it together. What's 2 times f of x? It's going to be 2 times 2x plus 7, right? And then I have to times that by a negative 5 times h of x, but my h of x is the number 7. So this isn't going to be too bad after all, is it? Okay. We're first going to distribute the 2 through, so 2 times 2x is good, 4x. And 2 times 7, 14. I still have to times this all by negative 5 times 7, which is a negative 35. So I'm going to rewrite this because I don't like the way that looks with multiply. I know that negative 35 has to be multiplied by the entire stuff over here. So I'm going to rewrite it with the negative 35 in front and then rewrite this function that I have right there. Because then it clearly shows me what I need to do. What do I need to do? Distribute, right? So negative 35 times 4.
Negative 140.
Perfect, thank you. Negative 140, and I have the x on there, so I'm going to throw the x on there. And then negative 35 times 14.
Negative 490.
Negative 490. Thank you, Trey. Questions on how we did that? So really just do this part, multiply them together when you're done. All right, we have h of x times f of x. What's my h of x value? 7. What's my f of x? 2x plus 7. What do I have to do right there? Distribute. So 7 times 2x, 14x. And 7 times 7, 49. You guys seem to be liking this better than yesterday's. You liking it better? Yeah? All right. I'm going to give you a head start on number 7 and see if you can do it yourself. What's it asking me to do? The f of x times the f of x. So you're just going to write it twice and multiply. So I'll give you a head start, and then I'll just work mine quietly up here so you can look up and check your work. If you get that right when you check your answer, give me a thumbs up so I can see that you got it right. Nice. Good. Nice job. And if you didn't get it right, see if you can find your mistake by looking at my work. So what you do on this is you take the f of x, which is 2x plus 7, and you times it by itself, which is f of x again, so 2x plus 7. The 2x times the 2x is 4x squared. The 2x times the 7 is 14x. The 7 times the 2x is 14x. And then the 7 times the 7 is 49. You have to combine like terms in the middle to get 28, and you just rewrite the other two parts. Okay? Last division one on today's worksheet says f of x divided by g of x. So you go grab f of x, which is 2x plus 7. And then you go grab g of x, which is 3x squared plus 2x minus 8.
Whoa.
It's ugly. And this may or may not be able to reduce, but in this class I don't have to show you how to reduce, so we're just going to leave it like that. Okay? My poor Math 3 kids right now, guess what they're doing? Reducing stuff like this. So, all right, one last problem. What does number 9 ask me to do? Distribute what? A negative 1. Good. Through the g function. So I'm going to take a negative 1 through all of g. G is 3x squared plus 2x minus 8. And I really am just multiplying everything in that function by negative 1. And when I do that, what does it do to the signs? Just switches them, right? It changes them. Nice job. So this becomes a negative 3x squared. This becomes a negative 2x. And this becomes a plus 8. Okay? That's what we're doing today with multiplying and dividing functions. Does anybody want to ask me a question?